But coming back to the album, what's your favorite track off of it?
I was thinking of, I think, I think Overdose, for me, is the kind of the title track. And in the things that I'm saying there, it still resonates with me 6 years after I wrote it. And it's also we have the new strings, right? In this album, this was like a new addition to musically, which I thought was amazing.
I think they brought, like, it elevated the whole every song that had the strings on them just was elevated without me doing anything, like putting the tracks in. Bam! It
was easy, wasn't it? It was just like laid really over and yeah. And there was something, especially with Overdose at the end, there was this tension because they're like, right? So it's really apocalyptic in a way, which I really enjoyed. But something I must say that on an emotional level, that must have been Overdose, my favorite track, because of the meaning and the morals that we were also discussing on your podcast back then, which I think is still such an important thing today, if not even more important today because of the things that we mentioned. But then I would have to say that I'm also very drawn to the more angrier tracks. I think Hooked is easy from the rock tracks, my favorite. And
yeah, same. And I told you this, like, I've gotten quite a few messages, even though I'm obviously not the person on the cover, so my name just shows up if you actually go digging. I still got people texting me about that, and they kind of discovered my productions based on that song specifically. So it is a bit of the sleeper hit of the album.
Yes, and also I think this wasn't it the last song that I recorded, I think.
Yeah.
And there was this also, I have a, I can kind of sing loudly in the little box. Sounds weird. As long as I don't faint and die, it's fine. But there's like this new, especially last year, I noticed this new energy and kind of also a little bit of attitude. And I think Hooked is a good catalyst for what is to come, because there was these two albums are very like kind of kumbaya at the fire and kind of like slow and not very up tempo. But I think now we can go from sadness to a little bit of anger and talk about the things that I think need to be talked about, which I think also Mask Song also kind of falls into with Hooked, I think, but differently. It was differently. And Burned Alive is something that that I also gotten a lot of love for, I think. Yeah. And that one's also very, I enjoy how it really sounds like this album could be from the 90s, like end of the 90s, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, from a rock perspective, that's probably my favorite time period in terms of the actual sonics of it. It's like mid 90s to late 90s. I mean, like, this is super cheesy, but the way something like Bon Jovi's These Days sound, or it just the sound of the drums, the sound of the guitars, the vocals, everything. And it's the combo between the fact that technology was at a point where things could be recorded really clean and sound really good, but also the fact that there was no technical digital wizardry behind it to fix things. I mean, you know that if Bon Jovi sounds good on that track, or whoever, they actually sounded like that in the studio. It wasn't like something that was vaguely reminiscent of someone singing, and then the guy went and fixed everything, and you just have a vocal performance. And I kind of miss that. There's something that I'm trying to recreate in all of my productions.
Oh, really?
Even though obviously it is modern, and I use a lot of digital stuff, but I record real guitars through real amps, and I try to do as much as possible to maintain that the realness and rawness of those recordings, but still obviously keeping everything contemporary and how it is mixed and whatnot, and get that level up. But yeah, I just miss that, and to me that's the pinnacle of how good rock music should sound like.
Do you have other tracks that you can name from the 90s, that other examples?
Yeah, so like even stuff like Torn, like the Nerli in Brulia, or what, however you pronounce that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. We'll just write it down or something. We'll put it on the screen.
So I mean, that sort of sound, and even the more aggressive things like Green Day, the drum sound on that is amazing. Or Red Hot Chili Peppers, again, amazing sounds.
Nirvana.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was very. And then later, I would even say stuff like Garbage, because they.
Yeah.
Don't they make it? They make it sound so crisp sometimes. Like.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, even in the grunge scene, that even when they were going for this sort of filthy sound, it still sounded good. Like again, the drums on Smells Like Teen Spirit, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Or all of the 90s stuff and early 2000 stuff as well, from Foo Fighters as well. Amazing sounds. Like everything was really in your face, and the energy came from the performance and not from some overproduced thing that they did to hide weaker performances, like it can be the case nowadays.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So going back to, I think I've mentioned I think there's one track on the album that is kind of like the crazy colorful bird, which I think for me would be something, because it's kind of, there are no guitars in this one. No, just strings and beats, I think.
I don't know if there's stuff hidden there. I'd have to double check. I don't remember now off the top.
Oh, I see.
Let me just have a quick listen, because I'm sure that if I go through it, I'll remember in the next. Yeah. So yeah, this is the song that does not have guitars on it. Yeah, it's the more, but I still love it. There's something in the vocal performance, and also the vocal sound and how it melds with the strings. I really like that, and it's also a song that surprisingly works with more synthetic sounding drums, because obviously for most of the album we were going for like the rock sound, the acoustic drum rock sound.
And yeah, that was like kind of the calm, the kind of freak show on the album, which I always appreciate. And it's also, I don't like the kind of epic character, and the strings are so beautifully done and create such an atmosphere.
I mean, there's a passage, I think, towards the end of the song with the strings. There's this ascending line, ta 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 ta.
Yeah.
I love that so much. It's so simple, but it's the perfect thing that could have happened in that moment of the song.
Yeah, because I do remember, like, there's on Spotify we have the like original kind of version that we did, which was just very calm. That's very little happening, and so I'm so glad that the strings happened, and because that brought so much to the table. And then I guess the last track on the album was Antidote, which was kind of like this moody, but I mean it's. The guitars are shredding. They're the beats, you can feel them in your chest. Someone wrote, I don't know if it was a blog or someone wrote something about Antidote, and they said, I can feel the beats in my chest when listening to the song. And that was
good job on my part then.
Yeah. Those drums were fantastic. And so now what we're kind of doing is we're kind of transitioning into the area of basically the bonus tracks. So the What Remains remix album is almost upon us. And so what we're doing is we're doing premieres every few weeks of the songs that we haven't revealed yet, and then it'll drop, and then we can talk about essentially. Well, I guess we can promote your Devil's Comeback, kind of more pop music remix.
That's so, because I do a lot of production on actually, to be honest, most of the productions that I do are more towards the pop area and synthwave and new disco and indie stuff. But it is interesting because when I'm working on your songs, I'm so in a rock vibe. I'm trying to recreate that sort of 90s merged with 2000s with modern vocal production thing that I'm kind of in that zone. And then when doing remixes on that, it's weird because it's almost like a challenge because I'm so into the zone with the rock stuff, with the indie / alternative thing, that going into the indie pop and synthwave and kind of the dancey elements is really fun to do. And I'm always excited to listen to remixes that other people have done for the songs that I've done the rock mix for. So it's super exciting to listen to this. I mean, I'm highly anticipating this album of remixes because I'm excited to hear what other people have done.
Do you have a remix that you love from that project?
I think it's one of the first ones that you did. Let me remind myself what I think the second one. Which is the second one that you put out?
This was it. Maybe could it be Burned Alive?
Yes,
maybe.
Yeah.
There was one with Aura Shred, and I mean both were great. One by Aura Shred, which was kind of like.
No, that was it. Burned Alive. I loved it. It's a sort of, again, it has a bit of a lounge / new disco vibe to it that I really loved, and it's completely different to what the original thing sounds like. Exactly. So that's an amazing way to kind of milk the song. Yeah. The song is different to the recording, and at least in the way I view it. So it can become so many different things. And in this case, yeah, you have like a more rock song, and then you also have this sort of dance song and both work. So that's again a testament to the writing itself.
But I also love how just seeing that, of course I write something, but then just seeing other people kind of doing their own vision of it, which for me a remix is kind of that, right? So seeing that come or I don't know, the chaotic neutral Kobana remix, that is also amazing. It's very moody, also with the strings, and then just a really nice beat throughout, and just a great mood, and it's danceable, and that's how you can. And I'm glad that we can use songs that are really dark in their meaning and their story, and do something more pop in the sense that it's less hard to digest, if you will. And so so what I wanted to say about the entire recording of today is that I would do like little segments, and I will cut us together, and there will be different like formats for YouTube and social media and stuff like that. And I think it will be best to record, like have little bits, because
that makes sense nowadays. I mean, nowadays it's kind of the world of the shorts and kind of TikTok length. It's less about large form content.
Yes, what's it said? Our attention span doesn't fold, it jingles or something like that. But can we tease the new